Hey guys, how's it going? This is Mike again, back with another Melee Masters development vlog. And today I'd like to do a bit of a recap of Royal Flush, talk about what happened, the experience, address a lot of the feedback I've been given both in person and online at the event, and some of the feedback that's been given to me by some of the pro players that have played. I'll name them later. And then I'll address the plans for the future as far as this is more short term. This is like my plans for releasing the demo and what I want to get into that. And yeah, hopefully that'll give you a better idea of where we're at now. So Royal Flush recap. The booth went great. Even though setting up was kind of a pain and there were some issues just with the venue. But other than that, it was a very well run tournament. Reno did a great job, and it was great to sponsor. We had a lot of people stop by. A lot of people that just day one, they're just hanging out. They see it out of the corner of their eye, so they decide to stop by, see what's up, and yeah, turnout was good. Uh, I wish I could have gotten some more pros to play, but the ones that did play, I'll address their feedback later. But I did get a decent amount. And finally, was it worth it? So I think so, definitely. I made a lot of contacts, to fill like these vacant animator positions and graphics design positions that I do need filled, and that will help the game just develop its online presence a lot better. And well, animation's just the core of the game itself. So yeah, other than that, and I think pulled muscle in my chest. All in all, it went very well. So the main part of this video is going to be addressing the feedback. And so I'll try to remember off the top of my head um, all of it. But first, I'll run through the high level players that gave feedback, and then the average players, and then some of the online feedback. Excuse me. So from the pros that played it, probably most notably that gave the most feedback was Hacks, and he got to play on Friday night, and he tried to play with the box initially, but I only had the Mayflash GameCube adapter, and he needed the Wii U GameCube adapter, so he didn't get a chance to use the box on it, but he did get a chance to use it with the GameCube controller. So his general feedback was fairly optimistic. He said the game had a lot of promise, but it was a bit too slow, a bit too floaty, and that you'll see at least from the high level players, it's sort of the general consensus of it's a bit too slow. And I'll talk more about what I plan on doing for that later. Another person I got to play was Mike Hayes, since he was, kind of at a booth nearby. He stopped by. One of his biggest complaints was clarity. So he wasn't sure when hitboxes were active, and he also had some feedback on the speed of the game, a little bit of the floatiness, but it was mainly just visual cues. So I'll definitely look into that. I might. I don't really want to go the Smash 4 route of like every move, even normal moves, with like just a fist has like that big streak behind it that shows active, not active. That stuff's very good, but it could be a bit overloading. Because part of his feedback was he couldn't tell what his character was doing because there was sometimes too many visual effects. So there's definitely a balance that could be struck there with too much visual cues and too little. And part of that does come with clearer animations. Definitely better animations will make it more obvious when your hitbox is active, or ideally it should. At the moment, kind of. Some attacks, it's like very obvious. But I'm definitely gonna look into those. Other people that played were DJ Nintendo and PB&J, who, if you don't know him, he's one of the producers from Smash Studios, and their comments were more on the just general movement. And PB&J really liked just what I did with the pivot system, as in removing it and making it a lot easier to like run reverse back air, small refinements. They did give me a lot of advice on all of them on shield dropping. And so I'm still working through the refinements of that, because a really hard thing to do with that is, say you're on a platform, right, and you want to do a down tilt. So you pull down on the controller and you press A. Now, people want it so when you drop through a platform, it just drops you through. But the problem is, how do you distinguish between when a person wants to drop through the platform and when a person wants to down tilt or down smash on a platform? So right now it gives you 4 frames. So after you pull down at a certain speed, it'll say, okay, this person's going to drop through the platform in the next 4 frames if they keep holding down. And so I think that's a good window. The only thing I'd probably change with that is after it finally says, okay, you could drop through, place you a little bit below the ledge, because right now it functions not the same as Melee, but and just because of the floatiness. So what you'll do is you'll have an extra, or there's about like 2 drop frames where right when you drop through, it's kind of like Luigi in Melee. When you drop through, you could like nair and then cancel it. So you could do that with all characters at the moment. I like to make it so you drop through pretty quickly, and ideally I'd like it to go to almost your max fall speed, not your fast fall speed, your normal fall speed. Probably like halfway in there is probably a good, drop through. You're moving down. Yeah. So that was most of the pro feedback. I didn't get a chance to have like any of like the top 5 that were there stop by, but yeah, I'd love to have them test out in the future. As for non-pros that played, just general feedback from people that played, I really only had, I'd say 3 people that disliked the game after they played it. I mean, I'm not going to say they loved it, or everyone loved it. These were people that, after picking it up, they were just like, nah, unplug the controller, walk away. And it was really only one of them that had some, like, really negative feedback for it. And that feedback was somewhere along the lines of, I came over here expecting Melee, but improved in some ways. And some of what he said was justified, but not all of it. Mainly because he's not familiar with the animations. I think he expected to just be able to grab, Surge, which has a 4 frame jump squat, and Wave Dash, and the physics to be exactly the same as Melee, and they're not. They're close, but there are some aspects that are different. And so he's like, this feels clunky, and he says it feels too slow, just the general ground movement, which some of that I'm definitely taking into consideration, like new player feedback. But some of that is also, with experience. Like I can move since I developed the game. I can move like 3 times as fast as you. Can like wave dash around. And just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean it's not possible. But it is fair to say that it's not Melee like, or I don't want to say that the general movement it doesn't match Melee's. Like I didn't reverse engineer all the physics exactly. So there will be differences. There will be a small learning curve just initially, but for the most part, everyone that picked it up, the first things they did was dash dance, and then try pivoting, and then wave dash, um, all the other like slight mechanics. Probably the biggest thing that I want to work on is tilts. So right now you could go from a run or from a walk to a run, and there's only 2 move speeds. There's like the dead zone, which you could turn around and not move. Walking speed, which is like about half run speed. Each character's is different, and then there's full run speed. And so what you can do is from walk, if you push the controller a bit further, you'll go to run. You don't have to like smash it or like do a dash. That's something I changed for Melee because I wanted to make it easier to move quickly. And for me personally, I enjoy it a lot. But for Melee players, like they want to be able to like walk forward tilt. And what I found a lot of people doing was like when both characters were about positioned here, they'd both walk at each other to forward tilt, and then they walk past each other. One due to the ground friction, and 2 due to the sensitivity of the walk. Or yeah, or the sensitivity of the run. So what they were actually doing was dashing or running and then forward tilting. So they run past each other. So I really want to. I told them about the customization I was working on for walk speed, that you won't run when you want until like a certain sensitivity on the controller. But it's definitely valid feedback because I want to make the general movement as easy as possible. I don't want you to be frustrated trying to just walk forward tilt. So I will give you a little bit of customizability, but I am working hard, especially with different controllers. Like the Xbox controllers, walk forward F tilt is very easy. On the GameCube controllers, it's kind of tricky. So I definitely want to, that's definitely something I'm looking into very heavily. I actually did some changes live at the event just to try to really refine that. And that was people, I think, I don't know if it was so much a complaint, but it was something I observed watching them play. Like people would run past each other a lot. You've probably actually seen if you've watched the full gameplay, the full 1v1 between me and my friend. We do that sometimes. And that's again because it was too easy to run. So there's definitely a balance to be had there. I might change things. So once you start a walk, you can't go to run out of it. So that'll make it a bit easier to do those small movements. It'll make it a bit harder to go faster, or to move faster. But that might be a good thing, might be a bad thing. That's something I need feedback on, and I could change that fairly easily. It's just a matter of what people think. So I think that's basically all the feedback, other than the really obvious feedback, like the animations need work, better visual cues on hit was something. One thing people commented on was, obviously the floatiness, and I'll talk about it a little bit of what I plan on doing in addressing that. Um, I believe that's all the critical issues, other than the ones that I know are problems, like audio design and visuals. Obviously, a lot of people complimented the visuals. Others, didn't like them, and to each their own. So I'll talk about plans for the demo that I want to release. So, oh yeah, I kind of missed to touch on it. So based on online feedback, a lot of it's kind of disheartening. But to keep my personal feelings aside, I don't feel I put enough effort into what I put out in the online space as far as showing the game, and not to the level that I'm comfortable with. So, for example, one of the groups that walked by the booth, they're like, "Oh, is this the game from the trailer?" And they seem really skeptical. And then they sat down to play, and they're like, "Oh, this is actually really fun. This is," they got into it. So, and I mean, that's not to say that'll happen to everyone, all the naysayers that they don't like it, but it tells me that the way I'm presenting it online is not indicative of what the game actually is. And I'll try to take steps in the future to improve that and really ensure that what I'm putting out is the best vision or the best you can see of the game online without actually playing. And that's going to take a bit more work. It'll take more time for me to put out content just because I need to make sure it's better now. So like the 1v1, that was like my friend came over, we played for an hour. He lives in New York. I'm in Jersey. So it's kind of a hassle for him to come over and play. And so I was just like, okay, this is the best game, or one of the best games we had out of the games we played. I'll put it up because people need to see gameplay. And now it'll be more, okay, when we get a super good game where we're both playing neutral very well, there's some good combos, there's no real issues as far as like buggy animations or anything, then I'll upload those. So those might take a bit longer, but I'd still like to try to put up as much content as I can. So back on the plans for the demo. One thing I really want to address is the floatiness. Um, Another one is the animations, and a third is the visual clarity. So what I'll be doing, I'd like to have the demo out in like 2 to 3 weeks. But to make things easier, I'd like to do it through Steam, and it'll still be a free download, but that'll give me the ability to put out patches. So instead of you having to re-download everything whenever I say, okay, here's the feedback from week one, you guys didn't like XYZ, you guys did like QRS. Here's the change. Re-download the 500 megabyte build that's the size of the program now. So with Steam, it'll allow me to do updates through it, and you'll get it automatically. So that will involve going through Steam Greenlight. So keep an eye out for the campaign for that. And depending on the duration, like if it gets greenlit in like a week, I don't actually know like the time frame on these. I haven't done that much research. then the 2-3 weeks goal that I'm going for is probably very achievable. If it's not, it'll probably be set back. I'd still like to get an initial demo version out, as soon as possible because I want to get people playing. And part of my biggest feedback or my biggest impression from Royal Flush was when people sat down and played, with the exception of a few, they see the potential. That was like the biggest feedback from like the really competitive guys that were there. The guys that are on friendly setups all day, even when like top eight's going on their own friendlies. It was just they see the potential, but it has its issues, and I'm trying to address those. So one of the major things I'll be doing is speed. So what I've already done, I'll try to put a video in it with included in this video, is up everyone's general gravity modifier, but I left the fall speed on some of them. Some of them I improved the fall speed. That means when they jump up, they'll fall a lot quicker now. And I also changed fast fall. So right now, or in the old build of the game, you could only fast fall when your velocity was less than 0. So you were going down. But what I changed it to is you can now fast fall when your velocity is anything below 0.5. So it's like just before the peak of the jump. So now full hop, fast fall, and short hop, fast fall, it seems like a lot faster, and it feels like very good in my opinion, comparative to a lot of melee characters. And what that does is I don't really have to change much else about the game. I don't have to like change the physics, the core physics, and it kind of just feels a lot faster in general. And then what I'm also doing to improve the speed is taking a look at the animations, speeding the ones up that need to be sped up. Um, I'm really going through them to try to apply the animation principles of like snappiness. So like maybe a bit longer windups, but really quick follow through. So the move should snap, and then better poses, more exaggerated poses. These are things that like I kind of rush through some of the animations so they're not obvious. And so I'll be doing at least 3 passes of animation improvements for each character that'll be in a demo, and at least 3 passes on their speed. So with the improved gravity, I have to adjust the knockback and hit stun. Actually, knockback doesn't have to change that much. It's in a pretty good spot, although I did take that bit of feedback. Everyone says, or a lot of people said knockback scales a bit too high, at least the default knockback. So I did reel that in a little bit, so things feel you really got to land those heavy hits in order to kill people with certain characters. Other ones have higher scaling on other attacks. So I think I've hit a very good balance at the moment with that. The other one is hit stun. Since people now fall down faster, they don't float as long after being stunned. I have to go through and cut back the hit stun numbers on all the attacks for all the attacks that like hit up basically or pop up, and that's an ongoing process. But I think it's getting very close to a really good level of just like between the last build from Saturday at the event and Monday morning when I made some of the changes, at least to 2 of the characters, it feels a lot better. And yeah, other than that, there will be the general bug fixes. I think I fixed all the like core animation ones where the big ones that kept happening were if you were in an animation and you got attacked, the physics system still thinks you're in the attack. So like when you hit the ground, the next time you go into an attack, it'll like give you the roll physics, even though you're in like an up smash. Um, I believe I've hammered all those out. All of those are kind of tricky and they have to be done on a character specific basis for some of them. And I'm I'm pretty confident. Well, I know I can fix them all in time. It's just a matter of replicating. So it's like, what attack can I do with one controller and then hit me with the other one to try to force that weird state? Because a lot of these issues, they're hard to test myself because I'm sitting here with both controllers, one on my lap and the other one trying to replicate. And some of these come down to like frame by frame, or you need to hit me within the first like 4 frames of this animation while I'm doing another animation and hitting shield and SDIing into the ground to tech roll. So some of those, um, once the demo's available and people can like properly reproduce with like others in the room, that'll definitely help me fix these bugs like very quickly. And then with that, if we get it through Steam, you'll be able to just get the update for it, and that should really firm or like tighten up gameplay so that the stuff we can focus on, it goes from this like higher level, like the animations are poor, there's glitches, to okay, these two attacks have bad knockback and hit stun, or this one scales too much, or things like that. So we can slowly move lower down from very large issues to smaller ones, and then that'll leave the game in a very playable state, to say the least. But it'll definitely help people get more enjoyment out of it. It'll definitely make it easier to show online if there's less glitches. And yeah, so keep a lookout, um, at least generally in the online space, for updates about the game. I'll be posting like small videos and stuff of speed improvements and animation improvements. Um, and then yeah, as soon as I have updates on the demo, when that'll be available, those will be put out there. The same with Steam Greenlight if I can get going through there. So yeah, definitely try to support it on Steam Greenlight. If not, if we can't make it through that in the time frame that I'd like, just get ready to get your hands on the game. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.